Thank you very much for inviting me to be with you and to have the honor of presenting Moments Community Leadership Award to my dear friend, Peter Lefkin. I came to know Peter more than 10 years ago when he and his then boss at Allianz, Ambassador Wolfgang Ischinger, the former ambassador to the United Kingdom and to the United States, as well as France, came to my office seeking suggestions about how Allianz could cement better relations with the US Jewish community and at the same time celebrate the 1,000 years of German Jewish history, of the Jewish community in that country from which emanated so much of modern Jewish thought and practice. As good fortune would have it, I had received a call a few days earlier, a request for assistance from the Ashkenaz Foundation in Israel for help in publishing a book on which we had worked for many years on the synagogues of Germany and the events of Kristallnacht, led by Professor Meir Schwartz. Allianz underwrote the publication of the English version of the book, and it was a welcome treasure which the company has helped distribute to synagogues, national leaders, and Jewish community organizations worldwide. Peter works and lives in Washington, D.C., but comes to New York City often and sometimes attends our Conference of Presidents programs, or he comes by for a long chat and we go through the issues of the day, exchange stories, and relish our friendship. He has also participated in several of the Conference of Presidents trips to Israel. I have always been impressed with how he is able to connect with our delegation of 75 to 100 of the top leaders, as well as with many of the important people who speak at our programs. As part of our tradition, we ask the delegates to take turns either introducing the speakers or making presentations of Judaica gifts to them. We could always count on Peter when we had a special need for diplomacy, kindness, historical perspective, and sincere flattery. Our delegation visits to Israel are usually in mid-February, and the sun doesn't rise till after 7 o'clock in the morning. Many of us participate in prayer services in the morning. I can't say that Peter joined us. More often than not, we would catch him in the lobby in his running clothes and a reflective orange vest, having just come back from a 1-hour morning run. I still think he should have gotten up a little bit earlier so he could have done both, but he said he would do it only if I joined him. That is not going to happen. Through our association, I have come to applaud and appreciate Peter's interest in trying to bring together Germany and the US Jewish community. I know that he played a significant role in the global efforts to resolve insurance claims arising from the Holocaust that brought together insurance regulators, US and international Jewish organizations, and European insurance companies. For this and his many efforts, he received the Recognition of Goodness Award from the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous in 2013, and last year, he received the German-American Friendship Award from Ambassador Emily Haber. It is a distinct honor and pleasure for me to introduce a very special person to you, Peter Lefkin.
I want to thank my dear friend Malcolm Hoenlein for his kind and generous remarks. Malcolm has had a long and distinguished career promoting the unity of the Jewish people and being their advocate for the nation of Israel across the globe. He's an inspiration to all of us. For those who ask, how did I first get acquainted with Nadine Epstein and Moment, you will not be surprised by my response. On a cold, snowy day about 8 years ago, Nadine came to my downtown Washington, D.C. office via the Washington Metro and introduced herself in Moment magazine to me. After an appropriately lengthy schmoozing session, she got to the point and asked that my company, Allianz, provide financial support to the magazine. Cannot exactly recall how Nadine found me, but I suspect that it arose from her contacts at the German embassy in Washington, D.C., who identified people and German-owned companies who might be helpful to Moment. It might have also been through our mutual friend, Carol Kahn-Strauss, the head of the Leo Baeck Institute in New York City. Most likely it was both, as Nadine leaves nothing to luck. The most important thing is that Nadine found me and has never let go and has become a dear friend. My company, Allianz, is Germany's largest financial services company, engaged in global insurance and asset management operations, and I have been head of its Washington, D.C. representative office for 32 years. The company has about 8,000 employees in its 6 companies located throughout the United States. During the 1990s, the economic legacy of the Holocaust became very prominent as the Cold War came to an end and Germany became unified. Communists who created their own history and swept much of the Holocaust, including the theft of assets in Eastern Europe, under the rug. When Germany newly unified and the Eastern European nations having, from the perspective of history, some legitimate apprehensions about this, Ambassador Stu Eisenstadt, a Moment magazine honoree, took on the task of redressing the wrongs of history. And Secretary of State Albright was also involved. As Deputy Treasury Secretary, Stu encouraged the Federal Republic of Germany and German businesses to establish a German Foundation agreement to provide payments to forced enslaved laborers who suffered under the Nazis. It also provided financial compensation to those whose property, including life insurance policies, were never paid. I worked on this for Allianz and came to know many of the leaders of the U.S. Jewish community who were also involved in this effort. Nadine discerned my interest in Moment magazine, which is published just 1 block from my home and 40 yards from the 2 garages which I rent for my antique Studebaker and VW Carnegie cars. And as she is apt to do, Nadine asked me to do more for Moment. This included helping to edit an excellent article written about contemporary Germany, borrowing my pickup truck for last-minute things needed for their gala, identifying other German companies to help Moment, funding German interns, and joining the Moment Board of Advisors. Nadine's own perspective on the importance of the German-U.S. relationship was close to mine. Germany and the Jewish world are linked by history, good and bad. The contemporary Federal Republic of Germany opened its borders to Jewish people from Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union in the aftermath of the fall of communism. Germany is one of the world's most powerful nations in the world, and the only one in Europe to offer full support to Israel and the Jewish community. For the past 6 years, it has been my personal delight to be on the Moment's Board of Advisors and work with Nadine and the great people on her team: Sarah Breger, Ellen Wexler, Jonah Raskin, Pat Lewis, Tanya George, and everyone else, including, of course, my fellow board members. In closing, I also want to express my congratulations to all my fellow honorees, especially to Emily Haber, the German ambassador to the United States. One of my regrets, which I share with Ambassador Haber, is that the COVID-19 epidemic resulted in the physical cancellation of the American Jewish Committee's forum scheduled this past June in Berlin, which Allianz had planned to be a sponsor. The conference still met virtually with a promise from the Federal Republic of Germany that the country's doors will be open when better times come with us again. Better days do lie ahead, and I extend my best wishes to everyone watching this program tonight. I'm deeply honored to accept this award and hope to see many of you in person at our first post-COVID real person gala in November 2021. Thank you very much.